Hi, I'm Ed Parcaut, your host of Inner Edison. Some of our greatest growth comes quite often from our greatest failures. Today's guest is Mario Nawfal. I said that totally wrong. Let me try that again. I apologize, Mario. That is Mario Nawfal. Nawfal. Did I say that time right? I always mess up
You
people's
did, man.
names.
You did.
Everybody. All
You
right, I
did.
apologize. All right, let's get to know him and get to know his story. Mario, where are you right now? You in Australia?
No, man. I left Australia 8 years ago. I'm in Dubai for a couple of days and heading to Miami.
I don't know where you're at. I just read some of your story. It doesn't have everything about you. I don't have your travel.
No, I lived in Australia all my life, and then I left the country 7, 8 years ago. Just been traveling since almost every couple of weeks.
So you don't really have a place that you call home yet?
No, I'm trying. I would do Dubai for tax reasons, but the air quality is too shit. So I don't know. I'm mixing it up between Dubai and like European countries right now.
All right, and for most of the people I'm listening to this, they're in the United States or whatever. They're going, Dubai. I'd love to be there, but because of the tax purposes now with the United States going through what we're going through. But so, what's Mario's story? So, how did you? I kind of know it from looking at your background, but did you come from a family that was entrepreneurs at all, or are you the first in your family?
Yeah. Before I go, like cursing, should I avoid cursing just to
No,
respect your audience?
no, I
Oh,
don't
cool.
care. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I come from no, my family is not entrepreneurial at all. My dad is just a happy-go-lucky guy. He's been in the same job for decades. Very, very, very basic life. Some consider boring, some consider comfortable. But that's my father. My mother, she has the entrepreneurial spirit, but doesn't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, and all the rest of my family members, most of them are not entrepreneurs. So I don't have that support, that history of entrepreneurs, unfortunately.
Well, sometimes that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Because I mean, if you look at my family, none of them would have been entrepreneurs. I'm the first one to start my own company, my own businesses. So, what took you into that field that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or did you just fall into that?
Yeah. So this question is, you can try to guess what got you into entrepreneurship, and there's usually like that one event that got you down that path. But usually it's a lot more things happening in the background over the years.
Mhm.
Could have been you seeing a movie about entrepreneurship when you're like 5 years old. Could be seeing a friend of yours, and these have influence on you. Could be in a school where there's many entrepreneurs or successful people, listening to some influencer, and a lot of young people listening to Gary Vee. That plays a role. With me, what triggered it? I've always been entrepreneurial. I don't know why. Nurture versus nature. But what triggered that path to entrepreneurship and dropping out of university when I was doing well with banking and finance was a video by a boy called Farah Gray. He was 15 when he was interviewed, and he made his first $1 million at age 15. So for me, that made me realize that crap, I don't have to go through university down that traditional path to make money, and I don't have to wait till my 30s and 40s to become wealthy. And I immediately dropped out of university and got the first job I can.
And that first job was?
Pop, door knocking, literally all day, every day, commission only, door knocking. Made good money, a lot of money. I was lucky enough that the product was selling well. And it was like thousands of dollars a week, Australian dollars, which is also thousands of dollars US, like probably 3K US per week when I first started. So yeah, I got a pretty good head start.
That was blenders. Is that what you were selling at the time?
I got to blenders eventually. I started with water filters. You know those
Mm-hmm.
water coolers that you
Mm-hmm.
have in an office and people will sit there? Yeah, that was that. It's selling subscriptions of those. Now the process was you knock on a door, you convince them to try the product for 12 months, and then you go back and try to close them. My initial job was just trying to get them to accept trying the product. And it was very lucrative because they had a recurring, they had the membership contract. So it's like $10 a week. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they signed 12-month contract. Now every month is $120. No, 240, $480 per contract. And then you add GST on top of that, that's over $500 per contract. But when you sell it, it's like, oh, it's only $10 a week. You get water, unlimited water because it links up to your tap. Unlimited water for $10 a week. We change the filters twice a year. And that's a business trick for anyone. Like when you break down a big cost, like I was at a clinic today. It's called Aviv Clinic, AVIV. And they do like a big medical thing where like a 3-month program and oxygen therapy and you have a physio and a whole bunch of things, like an all-rounder medical clinic. It's pretty cool. and there's only 3 of them: one in Israel, one in Dubai, and one in Florida. Usually it's for the elderly and people that have some sort of disease, but young people could do it as well to as part of disease prevention. So I went to an appointment today. I didn't know anything about them. My team booked it for me. And then when we finished everything, they gave me a tour. It's a 2-hour process. And they're like, hey, it's $80,000 for the whole thing. Cool. Like, I'm happy to pay that. But for most people, that sounds like a lot. And they give you service for like a year and more, where they keep following up. They measure all your vitals. You're wearing a watch. They measure your blood level, your heartbeat, how much you sleep, what you eat, everything, every day. And they have people checking up on you every day, forever, for the rest of your life if you want. But if they structured it similar to the water filters, where, hey, instead of $80K a year, it's like $2K a week or $1,500 a week, suddenly it's a lot more. So it's about $1,200-$300 a week. Now it's a lot more palatable as a cost. Now, I know I've digressed a bit, but it's something interesting. Like we managed to sell so many. It was so easy to get those deals closed, Ed, because of the way they structured it at $10 a week.
And I totally understand that. But what I was looking at and listening, the whole story here I'm listening to is how there's so many news things coming out where Goldman Sachs and some of these other places, they took away cold calling from their newbies to come in and who have to make phone calls to figure out certain things. They've taken that away from them. And you were somebody who just started knocking on doors. Your background sounds like my background because how I started in sales. And I think that's we're losing a lot of that with a lot of the younger people, that some of these experiences will make who you are in your future, right? Because if you can knock on a door and sell something, that means there's nothing going to stand in your way to get in your way. Where if you can't do that, some of these little episodes who might happen in your life, some of the Edison moments could actually just shut you down and get you out of the business.
It's interesting. I think it is. It will more shift because, and I think you'll agree there, I am who I am in business. A big part of it is the door knocking that I did, because it teaches you people. It teaches you human emotions. It teaches you how to deal with rejection. And it teaches you one of the most important skills in business, and that's copywriting, knowing what to say and when to say it. So these are things I learned knocking on doors and being kicked out of some offices. I even had a dog chase me out of one office once. So in today's younger generation, when I say younger, like under whatever, 18, 19, 17-year-olds, and even younger, they are taking away door knocking and cold calling because it's not as effective as it was. I'm not saying it's not effective at all. If anything, the more that people take it away, the more lucrative it will become, because not many people are doing it anymore. And then people will start craving the human touch. Like someone knocks on your door, hey, I have that water filter. Like, oh, finally someone, instead of just another email or another DM, now you're a person. So it could, get revived. And you've seen that as well with direct mail. Some more businesses are using it because the email is just getting too crowded and there's such low barriers to entry because the cost is nothing. So to go back to your point, it is being taken away, but I think it will more shift, because there'll always be the smart entrepreneurs and the smart business people that will capitalize on that cold attention grab, where you just grab someone's attention out of nowhere, like knocking on their door and meeting them. It just could be more remote. Like you could video call, cold call someone. I know that's going back to cold calling, but cold call them on whatever, Facebook Messenger or send them a Zoom link on the spot. Hey, you want to chat? Cool, there's my Zoom link on the spot. Like you could meet someone in a Discord group or Telegram group, say, hey, we should chat. Send them the link, let's have a call now. And 2 minutes later, you're on a call. You could say that's getting closer to door knocking and cold calling, but it's still not the real thing. Meeting someone face to face still gives you that edge, and it's still more difficult because you're not hiding behind a screen where you can press X and close the screen and that's it, everything's ended. So I think there'll be demand for that again, and the less people do it, the more effective it will be, in my opinion. The less businesses do it.
But I totally agree with the direct mail. That was huge for my business years ago. And then, everybody did it because it was, you could do it. And then now people got away with it, stopped doing it because it was so expensive. So if you do it now, you actually get more people contacting you because there's less direct mail. So I understand your process, what you're talking about. So with what you do, because you have multiple companies now, and I know one of your companies I was looking into was about it is
growth hacking.
Yes. Yeah. So that's basically kind of what we're talking about right now in a different way, right?
Yeah. Growth hacking is insane, man. Like I'm into, and it goes beyond just marketing and business in general. because I'm a partner at not a partner, I'm the CEO of a fund, an investment fund. I stepped up a few weeks ago that's going public. And they managed to go public under the ticker symbol, or they're about to go public under the ticker symbol NFT. Now, in the crypto space, that's pretty big news. Right. The guy that got that ticker, he says he called himself so he's a partner at the fund. He called himself a regulatory hacker. He hacks regulations. There's, of course, you've heard of biohacking or hacking your health. Mm-hmm. So hacking in general, and now I'll get into growth hacking, is essentially finding shortcuts and doing things. It's that simple. Whether, like when I went to do my vaccine in Dubai, I found a way to skip a massive line. You can call that a growth hack or whatever it is. I do certain things in my life to just be healthier, not to get sick. Call those a life hack, whatever you want to call them. With growth hacking, it's doing the same thing, but for business. For example, I'll give you some basic things. We send out thousands of messages on LinkedIn per day. On Facebook, we do the same. And emails, we do the same. Not spam. Send out thousands of messages tailored to a certain market, targeted to a certain market. Not sending a message about buying TVs to someone who's blind, for example. No, it's sending a message to a business in a law firm about strategies to grow their legal business, the law firm. So targeted mass messaging is one growth hack. Another one is how to rank high on Google. If you search top clubhouse moderators or top bachata dancers, I'll come up in the top 3 in the first listing on Google, or first or second now, depending on which one or which country. But I come up in the top 2 on those keywords. That was done through a growth hack. So growth hack is essentially look at the algorithm of any program, any system, any platform, and find a way to game it. What does Google look for to rank someone number 1? Okay, what is the shortest, fastest, quickest, easiest way to get there? That's what a growth hacker does. It's like a bunch of nerds sitting behind the laptop, and I love those people and hire them like crazy. They've changed my businesses, especially B2B businesses.
No, I saw that and I was like, all right, so this is direct mail a different way. You know what I mean? So basically you're actually targeting, you can call it direct targeting, whatever you want to call it. But I was like, that's amazing. We need to talk about that off the podcast. But because for my business,
so I'll give you, go ahead, sorry.
No, because I'm in the mortgage industry, right? So talk about a ton of people hitting tons of people with the same messages all the time, whether through mail or through something else, or you get emails or you get a text on your phone, which we don't want to be bothered by text unless we asked for that text, right? To me, that it's like you weren't around when fax machines were around, but people would fax through a fax machine to get get your information to them, and that's something that is not what we do then, but now it's a totally different thing where what you're just talking about is very fascinating to me because that's where I see it going. So I'll let you talk.
Yeah. And I'll give you a growth hack could work in anything really. Like you're doing direct mail. I'm just trying to think something out of the blue, like a strategy there. With direct mail, you can send out a message saying, hey, if you're looking to buy a house, we can get you a great mortgage at great rates. Or you can send out a message saying, and that will probably get thrown in the bin.
Yep.
But the first you need to grab their attention. You can send a message saying, hey, this is going to be a bad one because I literally made it up as you were speaking. Problem. But to give you an idea, like could be, hey, name, did you like the house you saw last week or earlier this year? They'll probably reply. Now, let's say this is an email or because with a letter it's hard. But yeah, let me know. Text me on this number and let me know your thoughts. Been a while. Or her name is John again. Lost your number. Can you text me on this number about the house you were looking at not long ago? So now this is a growth hack. Why? Because you'll be like, hold on. Okay, which house? They'll probably message you saying, hey, man, so I got your letter, but I'm not sure which house you're talking about. Can you please remind me? Most likely the people that will reply are the people that actually did look for a house because they'll be like, okay, I looked at a house, but I don't know which one. They're reaching out. Let me see what it's about. So it is the people that will reply are likely to be relevant because they wouldn't reply if there was no houses at all they were looking at. And you got them to reply. You got that first step there. So that's how a growth hacker would think. I'm not saying this strategy would work, but it shows you the path. Like, okay, how can I get someone to take that first step of responding to me? Like sending out a mass email. Everyone gets a mass email, but if you get a mass email like saying, "Hey Ed, is this you? Not sure if I got your right email." You're like, "Hey, yeah, this is Ed. Sorry, hey Ed Parcaut, is this you?" I'm saying if I said your name right, man. I'm French.
That's okay.
So
I attacked. I didn't do yours.
There's no. Hold on.
Parcaut.
There's no E. Parcaut. Yeah. I thought I saw an E. Yeah, I thought I saw an E before the A. That's why I said Parcaut. But yeah, Parcaut. Okay.
It's a good accent. That was a great accent to say it with. So
yeah, I speak French, so I'm fluent. So yeah, so at Parcaut, is this you? Not sure if I got your right email. You'll probably reply saying, hey, this is me. Who is this? We're like, cool, this is Mario. We spoke a while ago. I've done this. Like, we spoke at an event a while ago about working together. Been a while. Do you want to jump on a call and catch up? That's different to getting a mass email like, hey, Ed, this is Mario. I run a marketing agency and we can get you XYZ results at a very cheap price. We guarantee results. Let's jump on a call. That's more like everything else. But the first one I said, hey, been a while. Let's catch up. Is this your right number? We'll get your attention. It's different. It looks more real. That's another way of how growth hackers work. One strategy my team used, which is really funny. I don't know what the results were. They literally sent out an email. And in the subject line, because the first step of an email is getting people to open it. That's what the subject line is for. Then to read it and then call to action, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing was to get people to open it. They literally sent an email. The subject line was banana. That's it. And the open rate from memory, when we tested banana, it was freaking impressive. Now, it doesn't mean it's a good strategy because many people will click because they're interested in like what the hell this is about. Doesn't mean they make some prospects. But it gets better open rates, that gets better metrics in Gmail to go to people's inboxes, etc. But it's just a fascinating insight into how growth hackers think.
yeah, because I get a lot of them where it says, "Hey, we spoke last week about that loan," and I know we didn't talk about a loan last week because I remember stuff, So
yeah.
I can see how some of that works, and I'm not saying it wouldn't, and that was just an example, but is that some of the stuff people are trying but doesn't necessarily work?
What happens is with growth hacking, it works until it doesn't work anymore. That's the thing. Like when it works, people will just start doing it at scale, then it stops working. Like it's always, you have to always be a step ahead. Like the strategy of like Ed, is this you? That strategy like a couple of years ago. It probably won't work anymore. I don't check many spam emails and I don't even check email anymore at all. But it probably doesn't work. But I always see some new interesting way someone does it. And what happens if let's say we do something like the banana one. We send it out, it works really well. People responding, they're laughing, they love it, they read what we're doing. The strategy works. Okay, let's say it's working. We'll send out thousands of them. But there's thousands of other business people seeing it. Many of them will use the banana strategy themselves, and then it will continue and will keep spreading until it doesn't work anymore because everyone got a damn banana email or Apple email or whatever it is. So it works until it doesn't work anymore. And I think you can say this about pretty much any marketing strategy. I'm sure the first email, when email was in the early days, the first email you ever got, we're like, oh, cool, what is this? Later, like, no, that's email now is full of spam. So like now I'm on a platform called BitClout, brand new platform, been around for 2 months, very, very early, not sure if it will succeed. It's a social platform. And it allows you to like bid on people's reputation and stuff, and it's decentralized. So it's a really cool platform. If we message now, mass message, we get a really good response rate. I'm sure in a few weeks, months, that will no longer be the case because all marketers are really good at fucking up anything they touch. So it will happen to any platform. But a growth hacker will be the first one to screw it up before everyone else.
But also the first one to figure it out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like screw it up is a different way of saying I figured it out, I made money. And it's about, and you can use, and you can, exactly. It's always like a cat and mouse game. And when you say growth hacking, just want to kind of specify a big difference here. You can use growth hacking to get attention to a spammy product or a scam or whatever. Or you can use growth hacking to sell a valuable product, or like you can promote your podcast, and I'm sure it's full of value, or actually good value offering. So growth hacking is a means to an end. It's a strategy. The end is what makes it, whether it's a spam or something valuable, it's what you offer on the other side of that correspondence.
I mean, because we're always looking to what's the next, to get our word out there, what we're trying to do, our message out there. So when I came across that, that's why I wanted to talk to you about that. So Inner Edison's about have you made any mistakes along the way that when you look back that have been some of your greatest accomplishments? Okay, let's not pick them all. Just so for, there's been multiple things in my life where I made mistakes and I didn't even realize the effect or how it came out the other side. You're still young. Please don't take that wrong. You still got a long road ahead of you. But in the last few years, was there anything that you look back on and say, okay, that was a mistake I made, that changed how we did it to so much better? Was there anything like that? Your Edison moment?
I do them all the time. And it's about, but I try to always learn from them and not repeat them, because making a mistake is totally fine because you're trying new things. Making the same mistake 2 to 3 times is just stupid. So I try to learn from it and not do it again. But I've done a lot. I've been scammed. I've been screwed. I've had contracts broken. I've lost people. Like, I've been through it all. I try not to make mistakes by learning from other people's mistakes. That's how I mitigate my risk, and also being, a bit logical. But I make mistakes all the time. Probably one of the bigger ones is, and one of my weaknesses is simply trusting people too easily. But I'm not going to focus on that one, because most people are the opposite. They really find it hard to trust anyone, which makes it hard to scale your business. So I don't want to focus on that, because I don't want people that lack trust and lack the ability to delegate to use that as an excuse to not delegate and do everything themselves. So instead, what I'm going to do is talk about another mistake that I've done a few times. Call me stupid, but it's a hard one for me to control because it's a really subjective one. It has pros and cons. And that's moving really fast when I see something. Okay. You've obviously heard of Clubhouse, because it got a lot of traction a few months ago. I heard about Clubhouse. I came in head first. I messaged all the big moderators. That was a few months ago, back in December, Jan. I messaged all the big moderators. I'm like, hey, I'm coming in. Let's partner, let's work. Can I pay, get up on stage, etc., to get attention? It got me a bit of attention, but then I got a bit of backlash because it was still a small community. And then many of those moderators just blocked me off when they block you, you can't access rooms and stuff anymore. So I was blocked and I couldn't access many rooms because I was blocked. So then I had to kind of do a lot of damage control and then start building relationships slowly from the ground up. And that led me to, within like 4 weeks of being on the platform, I was the biggest name. I used to run daily rooms with 10,000 people listening to me a day, 7 days a week. All the celebrities from Naveen Jain to Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Jay Shetty, all of them jumping in, Sugar Shane, a lot of athletes, all of them jumping in every day. Les Brown, I was just talking about him earlier. But to get there, I made a lot of mistakes, and it was all based around the same thing. I just jump in too quickly without understanding what I'm getting myself into. And like in the investment world, that's dangerous because you throw your money at things because you're excited. I don't do that, but I do it in the entrepreneurship space where I like something, I aggressively jump in and try to make a lot of noise. I did it on BitClout as well. When I came onto BitClout, I made a lot of noise, and then I faced a lot of backlash, like a lot. People were making rooms against me on Clubhouse. People were making Discord groups against me because I'm like that random person within a few days making a lot of noise. Everyone knows about him without even building any relationships. So that one is risky. I had to also do damage control, and I'm now the biggest name in a positive way, and I'm on good terms with everyone. But I had to learn that again, the same mistake where I just jump in without analyzing what I'm getting myself into and then making a lot of noise. So it's good to jump in. It's good to make noise because in today's world with 7 billion people, over 7 billion people, it's really difficult to stand out. But at the same time, be strategic about it. Analyze the landscape, understand what you're getting yourself into, then go in aggressively because then you'll do it right. So that will be a mistake that I've done a few times, and something that I think would bring value to your audience in not repeating.
Yeah, but I want to go back to your trust one. One of the biggest things that you have to have. I mean, same with me. I mean, I trust you. You have to be that way. You cannot be untrustworthy because you'll never get anything done. You'll never trust anybody. Your company, just like you said, will never grow. I know people are going to be people, and I understand they're going to do what they're going to do, but I can't focus on that. I have to focus on the other percentage of people who are really good and who are there to help build your business and there to support you. So I totally understand that part of not, how you trust people. And sometimes that's a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's the positive thing. And that's how we should still go forward. So.
Yeah, we agree, man. And that's why I didn't want to highlight it because I think you understood quickly why. And what I would say, like for my 2 cents to anyone that struggles to trust, for people that struggle to trust, you're going to lose out in life. You cannot do it by yourself. Not business, not life. You don't trust your friends. You don't trust your wife. You're not going to trust your employees. No one's going to trust you back. And the relationship is going to be screwed. At the same time, if you're on the other side of the fence where you just trust everyone and people step on you and abuse you all the time, you're more likely to succeed than the people that don't trust anyone. If you trust everyone, believe it or not. Humans are net, they're more good than bad. That's why, the planet still exists. But what I would recommend for business people that are in my shoes that trust too easily, or I used to trust too easily, is do basic due diligence. Like when someone says they can do something, just check it, test them. If they're an employee, or a potential employee, give them a quiz or give them something to try out. If it's a potential business partner, test out don't jump in head first. Test out the relationship, start a small business later, do an agreements. Clear, simple agreements are key. So if you're one or two things, if you do these two things, you're very, very transparent, open, and direct. No BS. Be who you are. Say it as it is. And then you put everything in writing. Then your life is going to be simpler. Why? Because you're being very clear. There's no hidden agenda. Very direct. No headaches, no pain in the ass. And then you put it all on paper. So then they can't go back to you and say, yeah, you didn't say this. It's all right there on the agreement that we both agreed on. And I was being fully transparent. If you do those two things, I would have saved myself a lot of hassles. And that's a good way to trust, and it's a good way to build any relationship around you. Be clear with everything and be honest and transparent and direct. Not rude, just direct.
Right. And I totally agree. I think one of the things is when you come from a background where you don't have other people who've been in business in your life, family, friends, other people, you don't have those mentors, those strategic those people who are there to support you, coaches, cornermen, whatever you want to call it. So we make those mistakes. And through this podcast, I always, I've talked to many people, and one of the things I come across a lot is it's very lonely at the top, and you definitely need those people in your life to coach you, help you. Do you have those people in your life?
Unfortunately, no. Like, I wish I did. Having them is really, really, really useful, because I feel like I am annoyed I never had them. And I know I would have saved myself a lot of mistakes, a lot of hassles. Now, I don't have those specific people that give me advice and that help me on my journey, but that can be anyone. You're listening to Ed on a regular basis, anyone on this podcast. Ed is someone that you can consider a mentor, because you learn from him and you learn what he's learning from other people. So mentors is not just someone that helps you directly and knows you, but it could be just someone that you relate to, that you listen to online. You have many mentors. I learned from a lot of people online. So I have that type of mentorship. I do have selective mentorship, but in terms of having someone purely for me that I can ask questions about my business and my journey, I didn't have that earlier when I was young, and now I'm at a position where it's, I'm more the mentor than the mentee. But I still would love to have a mentor. I'm still on the lookout.
Well, I'm sure there's a bunch of strategic groups you can be part of with other people at your level that can help you, because, it's different. I've seen this where I've worked years ago when I used to work for somebody to now, that you need those people, because if you can't talk to your employees, right? They're not going to understand. They're not your friends. They're your employees. And please don't take that wrong. You need somebody you can talk to saying, hey, this is what I'm running into. What do you think? And have a few people. So I lost you there. You there? I lost you for a second. Yeah. All right, you're back. All right. So, and that's just the point, is you need to have somebody there. And I know that I'm just throwing it out there. If you ever need to talk to somebody about anything, you can always give me a holler. All right.
Appreciate it.
I'm here for anybody who wants to know anything, because if it's happened to me. So don't worry about it. In my 25 years of being in business, it's happened to me. I've made mistakes. Learn from what I've learned. I tell my kids all the time, learn from what I've learned, what I've done in life, and don't make the same mistakes. But of course, kids never listen to their parents. So
it's crazy. Like, how old are your kids?
My youngest is 19.
How many kids do you have?
5.
Holy shit, man. Like, you're an OG. Like the crazy, like OG, like in a good way, man. Like you know everything about raising kids. And that's pretty good, man. Like that's like, I'm thinking, how am I gonna, I don't know if I'll have the patience of me knowing something. Like, if my daughter, for example, is sitting there falling for this guy who's a clear asshole, and he plays that mysterious card, and there's exactly.
Kiss his ass to the mom. Whole suck up.
Man.
All right, here's what you can't do anything. Because if you tell them not to date that person, they're going to date that person. So you support them, and you just have to be there for them, because they have to learn just like we learned our own way. I know I'm bringing this into a parenting thing, but it's hard, but you have to, especially with girls. Girls are the worst. I had 3 of them. And the reason is because they're trusting, they're naive. They don't understand what we understand, because we're guys and we did it. Or I'm not saying we're bad. I'm just saying that when you're, 12 to freaking 18, all you got this testosterone, only few things you think of, right? Unfortunately. So you just have to be there, support them. And when you are in that relationship with that person, you will want to have those children. You will want to grow them, and then you'll just have to be there. And I have a coach Dr. Jeff Spencer, who talks to me all the time. And he's like, I tell my daughter, I'm going to tell you this because I want to just tell you this information so you have it, so that down the road when it comes to play, I've told you this, and I can't say that I didn't tell you this. And so he does that, and I do the same thing. So
do you think it's possible? It's not going to be a parenting question. I think that applies beyond parenting. Just one question. Do you think it's possible that you could have, I see it in movies, can you have a son or daughter where they actually come to you for these small things? They're like, hey, Dad, there's this guy who's like this. Should I trust him? Or are guys like that? Is that even possible?
yeah, but most kids, those are movies. My daughters watch those stupid movies too, and it's like, it's the perfect world. It's never the perfect world. We know that. We live in the real world. Like the first thing I learned from my dad was life's not fair, and if you think it is, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And if life was fair,
so
we would not be able to build businesses and do capitalism and everything we want to do. That's how life should be. So if you can't have it fair, because if it's too easy for everybody, nobody will do anything. And we need that. Or actually, I take it back. All the people in charge will do everything and take all the money. So we'll just leave it at that. So yes, you can have those open relationships with your kids or your employees or whatever you want. You can have those relationships. You just, like you said, set it up, have an employee manual. Same thing. Have something with your family. I'm here, whatever you need. I don't care. I'll never judge you. I'll never this. I might get upset, but I'm never going to judge who you are and what you've done, because I understand we all make mistakes, and I'm here to support you, whatever that is.
I sent a video to my team, a broadcast to my team last night about that exact point.
So you don't need anybody. You got it all down.
but I agree with you 100%, mate.
Yeah, no, it's kids are great, but they'll rip your heart out. That's how it is, right? But that's part of life. You got to have that roller coasters to enjoy life, right?
Screw those roller coasters, man. Like, they're stressful. It's like I'm split between, like, and any entrepreneur would relate to this. I was speaking to someone a couple of days ago, and I'm like, man, I'm bored. Like, I want to do something. Like, now I'm in Dubai and I'm going to Miami, etc. But it's very hard for me to enjoy things. Very, very hard. A week ago, no joke, a week and a half ago, I was like going through a stressful period. You know how I set you on Big Cloud? I came in with making a lot of noise, and I faced a lot of backlash and false rumors and negative things. And so back then I was like, man, I just want that. I hate drama as well. I'm like, I want this drama to stop. I miss the days where I'm bored and I wake up and I don't have much to do. And it's like very simple, basic things to do. So it's like I'm split. Like on one side, I want that adrenaline, that rush, that momentum. On the other end, I don't want the drama that comes with it. But you can't have it both ways in entrepreneurship. Like, I try to always balance it out where I have the momentum with no drama. But even at my level, it's really tough.
Let me just say one thing. All right. So I do radio also, right? And it finally got to a point where I didn't care anymore. And I don't mean that wrong. It just got to a point where you just understand. It's like, I'm just here. I'm going to talk. This is what I'm doing. And you don't make it until you have haters. If you don't have haters, you haven't made it, and you're not making enough noise, and you're not disrupting stuff. So you finally get to the point where, and I heard this from Bradley and a bunch of people that do all that social media stuff. They go, once you get to a point where you don't care the camera's there and whatever you're doing, then that's when you're going to make it. When you care about what you're putting, not what you're putting out there, but to care about what people say, this and that about you, then you'll never make it. You just have to get to a point where you just to go, hey, I'm putting out there my information. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You're going to always have haters. If you don't have haters, you're not making it.
That's true as well. Like, when you do have that backlash, now I don't mind people hating me. And I said this a few times recently. I don't mind it, because then people know me, and people knowing you is really tough now. Like, getting people to know you, good or bad. It's such a noisy world, crowded, competitive world we live in. That's tough to achieve. And remember, there's 7 billion people out there. How many Brad Lees or Grant Cardones or Ty Lopez or whatever?
A lot of them.
Is there that have? Yeah, there's a lot, but compared to 7 billion, right, then it's really like, to get that attention is hard. Like, Grant Cardone, look how much energy he has. Ty Lopez, he was in early on YouTube. There's people smarter than both that not many people know about, and I'm sure you know some of those people as well. It's hard to get attention. So I agree with you that having haters comes with the game. What bothers me though, and I still can't deal with it, is like false rumors. Like, if someone's hating me because they don't like the way I speak, or I actually did something people don't like, respect. If people hate me because I'm XYZ, that's not true. Like, imagine people saying, Ed, Ed scammed someone out of $10 million, and that's how he got rich, because he scammed someone. And everyone starts believing it, and starts to spread. That's different to someone saying, "Oh, Ed's voice on radios is too deep, or doesn't ask the right questions," because that's just their opinion. So
Right.
I hate rumors, but I don't mind opinions.
Right. I don't mind if you hate me if you really know my message, right? You can hate me if you know my real
Exactly.
message, right? And that, you're going to
Exactly.
run into that. People want to, discredit you, who you are. That's just, they're going to be there, and you're going to fight with that. And I totally understand that. But you also have to be, what pond do you want to be in? Do you want to be a big fish in in a small pond, or do you want to be a regular sized fish in the ocean? You need to find your pond that is important to you to grow the people that you want to be part of. And I think a lot of people try to be in a huge ocean, and that's not what you need to be. You need just to have the right people in your groups, whatever you're doing on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're doing it. And you don't need millions of followers. You just need the right followers.
1,000 true fans.
That's right. True fans,
Have
because they'll
you?
tell everybody
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
Mario,
there's an article.
go ahead.
Go ahead,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was going to end it with, there's a great article about having 1,000 true fans is enough to build a really healthy business. All you need is 1,000 true fans. That's a key word. Instead of having a million people that barely know your name.
And I totally agree. Mario, I've had fun today talking to you. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before we go?
No, man, you're pretty cool. I like you. You're like calm, relaxed, but there's so much going on in that head of yours. Like, there was one period I'm speaking. You don't say anything. I'm like, cool. Like, Ed doesn't have an opinion. And then you jump in at the end. You're like, hey, I want to actually talk about, the lack of trust. I'm like, man, he listened to the first thing I said and he remembered it. So I like that, man. I'm going to check out your podcast more often.
I appreciate it. The early on, it's a lot of the people, and the reason I do this is, being in the mortgage industry, I sold by the phone for 18 years, right? So in order to connect with somebody on the phone, you had to actually listen to them, to their tones and their inflections and their voice, to really find out what they're saying and what they're talking about, and hear in the background what's going on, so you can relate to them. Oh, you're this, you're that. Excuse me. Apologize about that. So for me, I'm always been inquisitive. I have to ask certain questions, and I ask more questions and more questions. And then I started a radio show, which is called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on. And it has to do with real estate and financing and everything. And it was a blog back in 2010, and I turned it into a radio show. But what's nice about that is I have to interview people and I have to ask them questions. I'm really curious. The questions I ask, I'm listening because I'm really curious. I want to know. Don't everybody else want to know what I want to know? I don't know, but I do. So when you were talking about that, I was like, totally get it, man. I'm totally listening to everything you're talking about, because I always want to bring it back to what you're talking about. And most people think that I'm not listening. I'm totally listening to what you're talking about, because I'm going to ask you questions, because I'm very curious about what you're talking about. I checked you out a little bit ahead of time, but I'm like some of those, talk show hosts who really don't want to know everything about you, so that when I learn it for the first time, it's truly what I'm learning for the first time. And I like that. So I
like that
really
too.
enjoyed you. Go ahead.
And I want to agree with, like, a selfish host is a good host, because then you're really caring, you're asking the questions that you're inquisitive about, and that most likely most of your audience will also be curious about the same things, instead of ending up being a bunch of generic questions and like a big marketing podcast where I just talk about my businesses.
Or your book.
Oh, my book. Yeah, exactly.
And that's why, I have had other people on here want to talk about, and it's like, no, I don't want to know about your book. My people want to know about who you are, how you got to where you are, because we all have different stories. Where we come from makes who we are. And that's what I find out, and a lot of people, I think younger, don't understand that you have to make mistakes. You have to have trials and tribulations in order to become something you want to become. It doesn't come easy. If you think it comes easy, go work for Amazon. There's a job you can go do every day, for whatever hours a week, and there's your easy job. If you want to make something in this world, you have to work at it and work at it and work at it. Right. And I found out, like, the last thing I'm going to say about radio is, right when you're about ready to quit is when people are starting to listen.
Absolutely. Business and radio.
Right. That's everywhere. Right. Sorry, I hit my mic. Yeah, I really enjoyed speaking with you. And if there's anything you ever need, or just talk about anything at all, once we're off air, I can give you my cell. All right.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, Ed.
No, I really appreciate you being on here, Mario. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in today for Inner Edison. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, and got to learn Mario's journey in his life. Please like, share, and subscribe. And Mario, thank you so much for being on today.